Welcome to another episode of Behind the Shield. I'm Gary Daemer, your host today, and I have a guest host as well.
Chad Spears, Director of Security Operations here at InfusionPoints.
There you go.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely, absolutely. Glad to have you, Chad. We've been in business, for just a little over 18 years.
Mm-hmm.
You've been with us for how many of those years?
6, going
So a
on
third.
7, yeah.
So almost 7.
Mm-hmm.
I really enjoy having you on board and really getting you focused on our security operations center. I know initially we kind of had you as a floater or a security evangelist or somebody who talks, real good
Right.
around cybersecurity. Then we actually found a good niche for you, which was really being the director of security operations. And I think that's really where you found your passion at InfusionPoints for what you like to do day to day. So help me understand what drove you to protecting other people around ransomware and from attacks. I mean, I'm just saying.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, I don't necessarily know that it necessarily drove me as much as it kind of catapulted me or threw me into the area. So, I come from an IT background, 20 plus years in IT, but I was always more the hands-on, right? The administrator, systems admin. I started off as desktop support and just different veins within IT, as you know them, right? And really heavily within the networking side. And that all really shifted whenever I went through a very large cyber attack with my current or the organization I was with at the time. And when I say large, I'm talking 2,000 computers, 185 servers, completely encrypted and locked down. And by the way, I owe some guys over in Iran, a thank you note for that. But yeah.
So what you're saying is your business came to a halt.
Yeah, screeching halt. At about 5:01 is when that happened in the afternoon. By the way, it's interesting. It's always after hours, right immediately.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so I mean, after that, really, after the whole remediation piece of that, and really looking at my career in IT, I was like, I don't know how you one up this, number one, but do I even want to be in this? Because, in that day and time, ransomware was a very new thing, and the stress that came with that was just unsurmountable, really. And so I kind of took a sabbatical, even in separating with the company I was with, and I was like, man, I could go do anything, be a farmer or something, like something that's way less stressful than this.
Going back to being a Marine.
The thought crossed my mind, but I'm actually a married man, and I was a married man at the time, and military was not necessarily conducive to that. And I don't know if the wife would have agreed to that, but thought about it. But yeah, I was like, anything to get away from it. And then a couple months later, happened to kind of run into you guys, and I was like, what is this cybersecurity firm here in North Carolina? I've never heard of them, number one, and is this a fake website? I didn't even really know that y'all existed. And so I was like, well, we'll shoot a resume in and kind of give it a go. But then after sitting down...
we were very silent.
Very much so. It took me a minute to find the building for the interview.
Right.
But, then sitting down with you guys and getting your perspective on things of something that I considered almost a career-ending scenario for me, right, in the IT world, you were like, you can take that experience and use that experience. And number one, we need that experience of somebody that's actually been through this to help our customers. And I can tell you this, I'd much rather be on this side of it than being on that side of it. But yeah, I mean, I owe pretty much everything in my cybersecurity realm and cybersecurity field and success to InfusionPoints. But also you guys actually taking a chance on somebody that had a pretty sloppy resume coming in and being like, oh, yeah, by the way, my IT career.
It was kind of wet from tears, maybe?
Yeah, no doubt. No doubt. But yeah, so when I came on board, as you mentioned, right, kind of worked a little bit in the engineering realm and a little bit in touch on advisory and things of that nature. But I think the passion was really in those guys that are sitting in the security operations center. And the fact that they were eyes on, they're monitoring the customer's environments and they're watching the things that I witnessed firsthand, and they're stopping it, right? Mm-hmm. And I think it was like, man, whatever I can do to try to aid those guys and help them and just be a little small part of that. Like, that's where I want to go. And that's kind of just really where the whole trajectory took me. And so, now Director of Security Operations here at InfusionPoints. And, man, the rest has really been history. We've been doing some great things for our customers and continue to strive to, number one, keep them secure. That's first and foremost what we do here, but really just drive innovation as well.
So, we have been after automation, and we've been after kind of trying to make sure the alarms and alerts get read correctly and seen at an appropriate time, and then be ticketed and then escalated, depending on the actual alert or alarm that comes in. Talk to us about what your idea was, in splitting the security operations team to security operations and security engineering as well.
Yeah, no, great question. I mean, first and foremost, when we looked at it from a business perspective, is the ability to scale, right? Very quickly seeing that, the math wasn't going to work out. X number of customers, X number of analysts. We can't continue to add on analysts. And although we're continuing to grow the team here at InfusionPoints, at some point we were going to reach an area where we just couldn't grow within the security operations. And so you're exactly right. Leadership here at InfusionPoints stated, "Hey, look, we've got to automate as much as we can." Maybe even got you in a little trouble with your wife there, and the phrase of, and we don't mean this, we mean this jokingly, right? Destroy all humans and try to automate as much as we.
It was a video game in the 90s. It really was. It was a video game in the 90s. So if you want to go find it, you can look at it. It really was. My son used to play it all the time.
Right. So. Yeah. And I understood exactly what you were saying, right? Look, we would never destroy all humans, and nobody's jobs were ever at risk, but we were trying to just push the bar of innovation and automation. And that became a buzzword, really. I mean, it seems like so long ago, but really we started trying to automate everything that we could. And so in even reviewing that within the security operations side, right, we had our day-to-day analysts who are the tip of the spear for us, right? Those are the guys that are fielding the alerts as they're coming in. And what we quickly started seeing was, I was talking with some of the tier 3 guys, and it's like, it's taken, analyst Y X number of time to do this because he's got to do all of these manual tasks just to address the alert right out the gate. And so we took something just as simple as, hey, automated alert comes in, let's automatically ticket every alert that comes in that meets criteria. Then not only that, let's leverage some additional technology, hey, AI being all the rage, and maybe start doing even some, reviews via that, and then providing maybe some remediation steps or things of that nature, right? Just anything that we could do within the security operations side to really help the analyst be able to get to remediation steps quicker for our customer. That was key. And so with that, we did kind of split off. We have the security operations analyst, but then now we have the security operations engineers, and the engineers are the ones that are solving those problems for the analyst.
Because they understand the problem set. Nobody better to develop the automations than the people who are actually living and breathing it every single day, or they got 5, 6, 7 years of experience living and breathing and fighting those events.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, at the end of the day, each of the security operations engineers have started their careers here at InfusionPoint as security operations analysts.
Right.
So they know the job inside and out. They know the day-to-day. They know whether it's first shift, second shift, or even third shift, what that entails. And so they're helping automate or allow their jobs to be easier from the analyst perspective.
Right. One of the things that we've talked about also for a really long time is we do a lot of FedRAMP work, right? We do a lot of building of solutions. We do a lot of managing of those solutions. And then we also do a lot of security operations for those solutions. One of the most fun thing that we do is not only the building part, the managing part, and the security operation part. It's the part going through the audits, because we used to love them so very much. Talk to me about how do we approach, especially from the security operations side? How many audits did we go through? That we're answering the same questions, we're delivering the same information, and how did you respond with that?
Yeah, Gary, if I think I could speak for all the security operations team to tell you that if we were any more excited about going through audits, there would be 2 of each of us. It's just, it became, and this is just it. I mean, it became monotonous for us. not in the fact that we minded doing it. It's part of our job. We love doing it. We love assisting our customers through that process, right? Because who better to tell the story than the ones that are monitoring the environment and know the environment inside and out. But what we quickly learned is, man, I'm showing the auditor the exact same screenshot. And now I'm over here in this customer's environment, and guess what? It's our same tooling. It's in there, so it's the exact same.
Because everything that we build is almost identical.
Exactly, almost
exactly
identical.
The same, but completely different.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's the key phrase. Everything we do is exactly the same, but different. But yeah, you're exactly right. So we continued to show, screenshot after screenshot after screenshot, and that really got some of the engineer guys in SecOps to start thinking, and it was at a very low level at first. It's like, number one, hey, I can show this without showing a screenshot, right? We got guys in there that have come from backgrounds of like Active Directory administration, things of that nature, right? Hey, I don't need to take a screenshot of group membership for you. I can actually PowerShell that for you and spit that out in commands. And that's what they started doing, right? Hey, auditor, here you go. Here's your PowerShell command that dumps all your domain admins, right? Something as easy as that, right? So they started commanding it out a little bit. And then I remember talking with you very vividly, and you were like, look, this is wash, rinse, repeat. We need to start building a repository of these commands, because if you showed it once here, you're going to show it somewhere else. And so we then started creating that repository of commands even. And who would have known that it would have kind of grown into what it is now for us.
What is it now?
Well, I mean, there's this thing called FedRAMP 20x, and it really, we were 20x, and before 20x was a thing, but we were audit shielding, is what we were doing.
Exactly.
And that is one of the services that kind of really was birthed out of that, right? AuditShield before was probably that more of that white glove hand holding, which is what we're doing, right? We were on there with the auditor, with our customers. Oh, yes, Mr. Auditor, you need to see this. Let me show you this. And that's really what it was. But then it really started to morph, and we were already running down this path of the automation of this. Again, being able to scale, because we had 20, 30 of these audits we're going through, and it's like, I ain't got so many security operators. Some of these guys got to sleep because they got to come work third shift. So yeah, I mean,
and Christmas Day too. So
yeah, exactly. And so it became to a point where it was like, we've got to do something with this. But I also remember as well, more than anything, a whiteboarding session that leadership had, and it's probably still on the board if we go in the
I've erased
conference.
it.
He's erased it. Well,
I'm sorry.
It will live in my brain, ingrained in infamy. Honestly, it was one of our goals, right, for automated audits. I can't remember exactly how the phrasing was.
Automated evidence collection.
The automated evidence collection, and that is where we are now.
Yes.
So.
Talk to me a little bit about the pucker moment. I'm going to call it that because that's kind of what it was. Jason and I both were receiving phone calls on a Friday night, and we were getting a little panicked. And then we reached out to some of our friends in the industry, and we were hearing about this huge change that was getting ready to come into play. And Jason and I bantered it around on Saturday, and then I don't know, probably 2 or 3 o'clock on Saturday afternoon, I sent that infamous note out, everybody mandatory meeting on Sunday. So we all met here on Sunday afternoon talking about, what we were going to do with this whole new FedRAMP thing that no one even knew what it was, or all we had to go by was rumors. Everybody's writing blogs about it, what they would like to see, what they wouldn't like to see. I want to go back and read some of my blogs to see how close I was to where we're at with some of my predictions. But how did it feel when we sent that note out and said, hey, let's.
Well, I mean, honestly, I think some people were relieved, because normally when there's the after hours or weekend pucker moments, it comes from me reaching out as the security operations director. No, but yeah. So look, there was the rumor mill going around of things were going to be changing. We didn't necessarily know what that change looked like, but then I remember some information came out, and you and Jason got together on the weekend. I was like, all right, everybody in on a Sunday. And at that point, I knew, I was like, okay, this is real. This is going to be industry changing and business changing. And I think that was really where we were at, right? We were trying to figure out, how do we align our business to be agile enough to either follow this, or do we pivot and go
Because when we just happened to have our best sales year ever the previous year,
Yeah.
and in the middle of some huge deliveries and delivery requirements for our customers.
You're exactly right.
You know,
And
so most of the team was focused on delivery.
yeah, and what sector was our sales in primarily?
Yeah,
right?
FedRAMP,
Yeah.
yeah.
Exactly, right. And so that's the thing is, I mean, you see something like that come out. I mean, we had to strategize, we had to organize, and so, when FedRAMP 20x came out, I think we approached it very cautiously. Number one, and I think rightfully so. I think everybody did. I remember reading through.
I didn't.
Yeah. Okay. He says that now. No, I mean, I remember having conversations, and I think there is some truth. You didn't. The next day, you were like, "Go,"
Yeah.
but on that Sunday,
Exactly. No,
on that Sunday, we were all kind of like, what are you going to do about this?
Right.
And I honestly feel like after we strategized, we all came together, discussed it a little bit, and then I think everybody had a chance to sleep on it.
Yep.
Right. I think the next morning, it's like overnight the fire was stoked, and everybody really seen what an opportunity this was.
Right.
Right. It's one of those things. It's like, look, the train's leaving the station, and it's one of those things. It's, am I going to get on or am I not? And
You could be driving the engine or riding in the caboose.
that's it. You're exactly right. And man, listen, I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm glad that InfusionPoints is shoveling coal right now.
I'm telling you. Yes.
Because we made the decision. Hey, we're full steam ahead on 20x, and man, it's been a whirlwind, but it's exactly what I feel like the industry needed.
Yes.
But also exactly where we were already pushing.
I mean, you may remember this, you may not remember this, but over 2 years, almost 3 years ago, I was getting very flustered and frustrated with how long it was taking us to get our customers through the FedRAMP process. It had very little to do with us because we had compressed everything that we could do to compress every bit of information that we could by our designs, by making sure the auditors understood what our architecture looked like, what it was going to look like every single time, and all that seemed to be very, very easy. And then when we get the reviews back, they were fairly minor reviews, and we could make it through. But even then, the queue was way long.
Yeah, I mean, that's what birthed the accelerator here at InfusionPoints, right?
Yes.
Which is even where XBU 40 came from, right?
Right.
But right. We were trying to fast track that whole process for our customers to be like, look, we can get you to 89% audit ready on day one, essentially, right? With our solution, with our infrastructure as code. But you're right, there was some frustrations around the red tape that was then in our way, and we really couldn't do anything about it. And so now seeing and really understanding what they're attempting to do with 20x, it's exactly what we were trying to do, right? In automation, but not only in automation. Automation just lends us the ability for us to scale, but also now the efficiencies that it's all driving.
I think the big thing for me, what I see, is the whole concept of screen captures, right?
Yeah.
And what they really proved, and I really love the whole concept of no screen captures.
Yeah.
To me, I mean, all the stuff is in metadata already, so it's real easy to pull that information. And if people understand how to read that metadata, then you can prove that you've done the right thing fairly easily. Once we kind of worked our way all through all that, we attended the meeting up in DC, where the FedRAMP program kind of established what the big goals they were trying to achieve.
Yep.
That we could actually do this.
Yeah.
Right. So, so there you go. That's what I'm looking for. Is that next screen?
Yeah.
It is some of the goals that the FedRAMP 20x program had really established, and what they were attempting to do there, and trying to make these lofty goals about what can we do, what can't we do, and let's just talk briefly about what the program's goals are.
Yeah, I mean, and I think as we go through these, even one of the things to keep in mind, at least for me, every time I look at these, is like it's how much they aligned with what we were already attempting to do. I can't continue to go back to that, but there's so much truth in that, and that's what really has allowed us to hit the ground running with these. And so, as we're looking at the goals here, FedRAMP 20x, right? Like the number one goal on there, make it simple to automate the application and validation of FedRAMP security requirements. Yeah,
Duh,
that's
right?
exactly what we were trying to do from
Exactly.
the get-go.
Yep.
And you've already,
Whether it was from the opinionated design to using the same SIM, using the same
Yeah.
AWS infrastructure.
Yeah.
You know,
Simple,
Yes.
simple, right? But then the key word in there to me is automate, right? Listen, we could take screenshots all day long, but if I could do the same thing with a script and then schedule that script to even run at its simplest form, right?
Right.
Why do I have to sit on a 2-hour-long conference call with an auditor
Right.
to grab screenshots, right? And so, seeing that right there, them two words, simple and automation, right? And goal number one is exactly where we're driving to. And then number two, right, leveraging existing industry investments in security by inheriting best-in-class commercial security frameworks.
like ISO 27000, SOC 2. It starts to give when you invest time, money, and effort into those things, it is demonstrating that you are attempting to do the right thing.
Exactly.
And then your auditor comes in and audits you on those best practices. Now, some would argue that the audits for FedRAMP in that space might be a little more rigorous.
Sure.
I would argue that I think they're really about the same or fairly similar in nature. But I'd really like to see that take further hold, so I don't have to have a different set of policies for my commercial customers as I have for my federal customers, because it needs to be written in that format.
Right.
And if it's not written in that format, then I might get gigged because it doesn't sound exactly the same.
Yeah, going back to your statement of there of people thinking that one audit's tougher than the other. I mean, to me, all audits are pretty
tough.
simple, and they're tough, but they're simple if you're meeting the controls.
Yes.
Right.
Right. Well, that's the fundamentals, right?
Exactly.
So if you're doing the fundamentals, people are just proving that you're doing what you say you're doing.
Exactly.
Right?
I remember, way back, right, before InfusionPoints, going through audits, right, for the prior organization. It's like there was always that one thing. It's like, oh, crap, we forgot that. We weren't doing that, right? And that's a tough moment to try to figure out how are we going to prove this, or how are we going to maybe try to get this through the auditor with a lower finding. But again, if you're meeting the controls, doing the basics, and keeping security top of mind, number one, the audits are generally about the same across the board. Yeah, are they tough? Well, yeah, cybersecurity's tough.
Yes.
It's not an easy road.
No.
And you always hear that security doesn't lend to making workflows easier or anything like that, and there's a lot of truth in that. But it's very needful, and I think leveraging these other frameworks is very important as well, because there's a lot of organizations out there that are like, man, I just paid to have my ISO audit, right? Can I not leverage that? Does that not give me something? Right? I mean, I just proved this once, and so I think we're going to even start to see maybe a little bit of marrying of that, and hopefully
some of these automated assessment controls going into SOC 2s and 27,000 as well.
Yep.
It doesn't mean it's anywhere near the only thing you need to do. It means maybe that's just a very, very, very bare minimum, almost like a self-assessment perspective.
Exactly, right? So. It lowers the bar to entry just a little bit, right? But it still meets the spirit of the goals of FedRAMP. Yeah, and moving on down here, continuously monitor security decisions using a simple and hands-off approach. I love that one because I talk about this a lot in my job, and whenever I'm talking about things like Command Center here at InfusionPoints. But the two words there, right? Continuously monitoring. My mind goes straight to the common piece, right? Also being part of the SecOps team, it's the monitoring of the environment itself. But common was a really
sound like the hands-off piece.
Well. Yeah, I know you like the hands-off piece, right? I call that automating. You was calling that destroy all humans.
Right.
No, but it's the common piece. I feel like was like spark plug number 2 for us, right? Because we seen as well. Mike over on the cloud operations team was like, there's no way that this scales without automation, without automatically doing the vulnerability scans, without automatically pulling those vulnerabilities in and then putting them into a POAM, right? Like following that process and trying to automate the process from point A to point B. And that's what lends itself to the hands-off approach. And that's everything from even remediation as well. Within
patching.
Everything.
Approvals.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah, so really seeing them lean into that hands-off approach is awesome there on number 3. Awesome. Yeah. Moving on down to the fourth one here, right? Building trust between industry and federal agencies by leaning into the direction, the direct business relationships between providers and customers. I think, hearing that, it's really the agency screaming and saying, hey, listen, allow us to go directly to the CSPs. And, again, we've already worked with our partners in a 3PAO to assess what we provided for the 20x low in achieving that ATO. Now they're wanting that direct line of communication and being able to trust that what we're putting forward does meet the KSIs they're put out there, and that we are doing what it says FedRAMP states that we should be doing, right? And so creating that direct line of communication, I think, is key there. But again, we continue to hear from the agency piece as well that we want to trust this, we want to leverage this, we want to use this, but we need that proof, that warm fuzzy, as I call it, right? We need that warm fuzzy feeling about these KSIs and the fact that we can.
And the fact that you're doing the automated testing and that you're doing it as often as you can, so it's not a point in time thing. It's not this huge review that they have to go through. Maybe initially that or when there's a change or something like that, they might have to do some additional reviewing. But for the most part, this streamlines the review process for them as well.
Yeah, for sure. I love the one thing you picked up on there. It's like point in time is dead.
Yes.
And we've been screaming that for a while now, right? And hey, yeah, your environment's good in these point in time audits on the day of the audit, right? Or that week of the audit, but what does it look like the rest of the year, right?
Right.
And so now, even with our approach of pulling evidence live directly out of the environment, you get that live view of, is the environment compliant, right? The security posture of that environment. So yeah, I love the direction that they're leaning into, and I love the fact that they're looking to build that trust relationship between all parties involved.
I like it too.
Yeah.
I like it too.
Yeah, and it's in the last one here, right? Enable rapid continuous innovation without artifactual checkpoints that halt progress. And remove the red tape is the way that reads. And that's the thing is, talk about rapid. I mean, these things came out, again, we met on like a Sunday to discuss this. We started running on a Monday, and it was off to the races. And talk about rapid, because we were really driving as hard and as quickly as we possibly could. Not to necessarily be the first to submit, but we were just so excited about it because we'd already been running this race, as I mentioned, right? And with that, we wanted this thing to pick up some steam, and we wanted to give it and see it morph and kind of move in the direction that we felt that everything should have been looking and going forward in the beginning, right? Because, again, as you mentioned, our thing was to try to get our customers through the ATO process faster.
Right.
And so we were very, very excited about that. And we're very excited to see that this is actually one of the goals there. No halting the progress there.
And to me too, the FedRAMP 20x low pilot 1 really set the standard for what the second pilot was going to look like, the FedRAMP moderate. We jumped right in and did everything we could do to make it as automated as possible, to make it as alive as possible. It's somewhat unique as well, as because we have our command center. Yeah. So we could do almost everything automated, where there's some folks who are going to have some manual human interventions. And we still have to have some of them as well, as we integrate additional AI into the product. But we have to have people review our policies, review our procedures, review our testing, capabilities. But for the most part, once they review it, we're going to have a checkbox, that says, this passes, what's required for policies. This passes for what's required for education. And then we're going to put all that into our command center. So then the AuditShield can go then and pull all that data out of the of command center, and it can truly demonstrate from our human readable, machine readable perspective that we're doing and meeting those requirements. Then everything else is internal to the application itself. It's internal to the infrastructure, and since we built the infrastructure, and we build it in a way that it makes it easily checked on with enough metadata in it, we can then go back and make sure that they meet the requirements for the FedRAMP KSIs.
Yeah.
You know, so
Yeah, you're exactly right. And I mean, there's always going to be that human touch that'll have to happen throughout those audits, and we understand that, right? But it's allowing or reducing the level of effort for that auditor, right? And having everything in one centralized location, i.e. command center for us, and then leveraging the tooling that we've built within AuditShield to then prove that we are meeting those KSIs is what's going to speed that process up over time. So, yeah.
So what's up next? What's all the
Yeah.
noise and stuff about what's next? For FedRAMP moderate.
Yes, I mean,
20X?
yeah. So building off the success of FedRAMP 20x low, we achieved our ATO there. FedRAMP has stated that, hey, now here comes phase 2, and we'll pivot off to phase 2. And within phase 2, they've stated as well that, number one, I'm glad we got on the train, because only those that were involved in the phase 1 pilot and that submitted for the phase 1 pilot
And actually got the ATO?
got the ATO as well, right, are now going to be eligible for phase 2. So had we not, we'd have still been standing at the station, unfortunately. Now, I think that there will be a time that they'll open it up. They've even stated that.
Yeah, I think next year sometime they'll open up to. Once they prove out that the pilot's working.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But we wanted to be the ones that was driving change, if you will. And so, phase 2 is here. The team is actually, even as we're recording this podcast, I can hear them. They're in here. They're actually working on some of the new KSIs that's been released for phase 2. And so, if we scroll down just a little bit, we'll see some of the dates and milestones here. October the 16th through the 23rd there, we're going to start looking at finalizing all the phase 2 requirements. And they'll be final when they're final, is pretty much what we've seen. If it goes like phase 1, right, there'll be some changes throughout the entire thing. And so we'll follow those.
We're okay with that, right?
I mean, listen, I think things have to be designed that way. And I think that that's the direction that FedRAMP has seen as well. It's like, hey, let's go this direction and try this. And then you'll get some input from the community as well. And they say, well, you can't do it this way because of this. And then they're like, you're right. We didn't think about that. Let's change it more for this way. And that's okay. We're okay with that. We're agile enough that we understand that. And our team is top notch and top tier to be able to kind of pivot like that as well, adapt and overcome. And so that is the dates for the finalization of the phase 2 requirements. But then the end of the phase 2 submission window is going to be in December. So December the 16th, I believe, is what they've got on here. And we're driving again to be that leader, but we're doing it cautiously this time. Not that we weren't doing it cautiously in phase 1, but again, it's ensuring that we're meeting the spirit of every KSI, but not only that, we're proving why we're meeting the KSI as well.
So adding that additional credibility check, what's the criteria you're using to actually, say that you're getting a green or that you pass? So what's your criteria for making that so?
Right. I mean, colors are great,
Yes.
But listen, all green is good in our eyes. But again, we understand that in order for agency adoption and for people to continue leveraging this, right, 20x, and for this thing to really pick up more and more momentum as we're seeing that it is, you've got to be able to prove why you're meeting the control.
Right.
And so again, we're doing that even within our own stuff. Within our own submission, right, by providing the raw evidence. But now we're going to take it a step further, and again, talking about that opinionated design that we have within our infrastructure, we're going to be able to tell the story of why it is that we are meeting that KSI within our environment. Now, go ahead.
No. I was going to say, if you think about when we delivered phase 1, I don't think anybody who delivered phase 1 knew exactly what they expected. I don't think the FedRAMP PMO knew what to expect either. And he even, I think he even said, I got a whole bunch of different ideas on the way to do this.
Yeah.
And it doesn't say that mean that anybody's is wrong. It's just that everybody had different ideas because we're different people.
So so after the phase 1 submissions, we're now working towards the phase 2 submission dates. But again, we're running at the same pace. Again, we want to be first, but we're ensuring quality in the submissions and the validations. And so, now looking at the phase 2 authorization requirements, a lot of things are the same as they were in phase one, but there's some additional things in there as well. And, we're seeing some changes. And so as we look down through there, right, the minimum assessment standard, pretty much by and large, that's pretty much the same.
Yeah,
right?
I think it's been finalized now.
Mhm.
So during this phase as well.
Yeah.
So I think what we're gonna do, and I don't know this for a fact yet, but I'm pretty sure we will. Something like I always like to say is I don't know it for a fact, but I just know it's true.
Yeah.
I stole that from Bill Maher, by the way. But is I think we're going to ultimately do a podcast on each one of these finalized standards as well. The request, for comments.
Yeah,
So,
that'd be great because I'm telling you, all the RFCs. I mean, there's a ton of information in there, ton of great conversation that's already been had.
Yes.
Even here at InfusionPoints with our engineers. I'd love to get their perspective on some of these.
yeah,
as
that's probably how we'll do it. We'll do a more
Yeah.
detailed dive
Yeah.
with some of the engineers.
Love
So I
it.
think we have a couple scheduled coming up with
Awesome.
maybe even auditor as
Love
well.
it. So stay tuned.
there you
Good
go.
information to come. But yeah, so moving down, hey, KSIs. That's the name of the game, it seems like. But now we have RFCs as well. So,
Right.
but yeah, so some of the KSIs that they went through and there was some simple low-hanging fruit, as we called it, changes even within the low area. And so we went through and we've already knocked those out and kind of made those changes as required. Then there's some changes as well within some of the KSIs altogether, as far as even retiring some.
Right.
But now there's actually new KSIs that have been submitted, and that's the ones that we're working through, and the team's working through right now. And it's things like some of the even like the IAM KSIs there, where it's now validating within your IDP, going a little bit deeper of a dive on that role-based access control, right, and improving proving that. But I think it's less of the, hey, here's the output. It's, well, tell me why that output matters.
Right.
Tell me
what the criteria is for.
It's that keyword validation.
Yes.
Right. Being able to validate why this meets the spirit of the KSI.
Right.
And so we're seeing that as these KSIs are released and the team's working through those. I think what's interesting too with some of these KSIs, I know you've read through them for sure, but it's actually the first time, by the way, that we've actually got to sit down and actually talk about some of the new Phase 2 KSIs.
I've been traveling a little bit too.
Yeah,
So.
we've been on a road show, right? But no, it's interesting that some of these is not only hey, pull the evidence, right, be able to show this in an automated stance, but then it's more of that proving. But here's what I'm seeing and I really love is the fact of, hey, if a KSI falls out of compliance, remediate.
Right.
And man, I love that because that goes back to our spirit here at InfusionPoints of automating it,
Yes.
right? It's that self-healing system, if you will. And so being in the security realm and on the security side of the house, absolutely love seeing that because I love automatic remediation when and where we can. And I think in these FedRAMP environments, we definitely can leverage that more than what we have been in the past.
So how about the significant change part? I mean, to me, that's always been a big struggle within the FedRAMP space, is trying to get a significant change through the significant change process. It was more of a significant change request where you had to write up some documentation, you had to get it approved by your authorizing official, the sponsor, and then you had to get it tested, and then once you got it tested, you had to then get it approved. So people really held off on doing any kind of changes to their environments until there was a standard audit. So when you did an audit, not only did you do an audit, but you also did all of your significant change requests at the same time.
Yeah, I mean, we worked with our customers to even tell them that. It's like, hey, listen, you probably just want to hold off until your audit's coming up to implement this change, right? Because it was a significant pain, right?
Right. It was.
And so now they've got the significant notification, change notification, I believe is what it is. And it's just the essentially, receiving that notification and the intent that something's going to change within the environment. We're still going to be meeting the KSIs though, right? And being able to check that.
And there's some additional details in there as well that we're going to further take a deep dive into in the upcoming weeks as well. So
yeah, for sure.
I think the other ones to me are also fairly cool. It's around the ability to share your authorization piece, so a trust center capability, making sure that you have some public ability to do some public information. We figured it out during our GitHub submission because that's kind of where our public is today. But we have already built in the ability to do the public notification side. We're working on exactly how we can demonstrate where all the evidence is, and that user request form that needs to be there for that. So we're still working through some of those issues. By the time this thing airs, we'll probably have it figured out. I'm sure we will. And and then the last one really is, I think appropriately I've heard it called Vader.
Yeah.
And I want to do my Darth Vader voice because this really has been some of the hardest pieces inside of FedRAMP. All right, you got to meet all the requirements, but you got to do Conmon, and this really puts a whole different spin on it.
It does.
I think Mike Strohaker just wrote a blog on this for us.
Yeah,
and we'll have that in the description. But I would anticipate that his team would probably do a podcast just on that as well.
Yeah, I know they're taking the current process that we even have and we had built into Command Center and kind of revamping that even a little bit, right? Because
Vader in it.
Ooh, I like that. It really is, looking at it from the vulnerability perspective, right? And that's the way that, the life cycle of that vulnerability. And so his team, I know in working with Mike that his team's kind of like, they're really starting to feel 20x now.
Yes.
Let's put it that way. Not that they weren't feeling it, house-wide. Everybody was involved in this.
Well, there's a reason why you're also feeling a little more than others as well. Not just because of the security operations piece of it,
right?
But you're also our product manager for our 20x stuff as well, along with AuditShield as well.
Yeah, so. AuditShield became a product. Thank you, FedRAMP 20x.
Right.
But yeah, so that's the thing. It's working with the team and trying to lengthen my lens, right? It's not what AuditShield is yesterday or what it was yesterday and what it is going to be tomorrow, but it's really looking 6 months, maybe even a year from now. Where do we take AuditShield? And I'm continuing to work as these phases come out, right? And really looking at how can we present this data in a different lens, right? But simplicity, but also in a lens that allows the auditors, the agencies, whomever is going to be leveraging the solution to trust what we're putting in front of them.
Right.
And so, I love what we're doing with AuditShield and the direction this is all going. I can say this, and I know you could probably attest to this as well because you've talked with some customers, but we're already starting to see the rapid acceleration of ATOs. Even and it's so funny though, but it's like even with 20x and a customer may not necessarily be going the 20x path, but I think it's starting to bleed over.
I think most of our customers today are asking about, all right, and what can I do for 20x as well?
Well, they see the long game, right? And that's one of the things that we've always.
That's how you have to do it, right? You have to play.
Sure.
You have to play the long game here.
For sure, and we've always been on the forefront with our customers and tried to be in the know as we are here at InfusionPoints and tried to help them project. Hey, listen, when we say go left,
right?
Because we're in the know. Yeah. So,
and I don't want to end this podcast with, oh yeah, by the way, there's more stuff to do, but there is. We have to make sure that we maintain and work with the FedRAMP PMO to look at the draft standards. If you could scroll up to see some of these draft standards coming out. So we have to integrate all of these into here as well. So I don't know about you, but I'm fairly excited about what's coming out with this next version of our command center, along with AuditShield and the other components that we're adding, Vault and our Trust Center and a few other new modules that we have in place. I'm super excited to see what comes next.
Yeah, I can tell you this. You're going to love what the guys, again, the engineering team and the DevOps team that's focusing on this, SecOps engineering, the way that these, even the RFCs and the draft standards that are coming out and even these new moderate KSIs, it's really forcing them to stretch their brain a little bit. But these guys are more than capable, and some of the things that they're already showing me, it's phenomenal in how they're pulling that data together. Again, you said it best. The data's in there, right? Leveraging these cloud solutions. The data's already there. It's just, let's just pull it and show it, right?
Right.
And so, what they're doing is awesome. I can't wait to see what the second iteration of our 20x moderate submission is going to look like.
I think we're going to be able to review some of it tomorrow. I hope.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
So
Well,
by
good.
the time we air this, we'll be able
Beautiful.
to have some of it, and hopefully you'll have a nice demo video of it come out in between time as well.
Yes,
So,
I am working on editing that right now. I'm right on top of that, Rose.
there you go. There you go. Well, Chad, as always, it's a pleasure talking to you. Not that often we see each other in person, but definitely good to see you in person.
For sure.
And I hope to have many more of these conversations. I hope you have some conversations like this with your team.
Yes.
Like I like to say, whether or not I'm on this podcast or somebody else from the leadership team is on this podcast, we'll always be behind the shield to talk about some of these tough issues. Thank you very much, Chad. I really appreciate the time and effort here.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Absolutely. Peace out.